Hello children, I am Sunil Kumar Pandey, your English teacher from Cambridge International School, Daswa. In this video, I will conclude chapter 8 of your textbook Flamingo, Going Places. We have already discussed its theme and we have also read the story. To recapitulate, the story is based on the psychological disorder known as adolescent fantasizing, or the teenager's tendency to live in imaginations. In the story, Sophie is such a kind of girl who lives in imaginations, and when one lives in imaginations, one falls into the tendency of telling frequent lies. The same happens to Sophie. Once she tells a lie to her brother that she has met his favorite football player, Danny Casey. Then, having told one lie, she has to go on adding more lies to it, and this results in a complete fabricated story of her being in love with Danny Casey. And ultimately, this whole episode leaves her broken hearted, in utter pain, with a burden probably to carry for whole her life. Now, what's the purpose of the writer in telling this story? Well, at one level, it's just to tell the story. At another, the writer also wants us to have a more sympathetic and better attitude towards such teenagers. You remember Sophie's father? Sophie's father is a very, very practical man, very, very wise man. He understands Sophie's nature thoroughly. He understands her tendency to lie frequently. Not once does he believe in her story. Yet, how he behaves with Sophie? Very, very harshly, very, very rudely, instead of tackling the situation with patience and tact. So, what is the result? The result is Sophie is drawn more and more into the problem instead of getting out of it. The story is for such people. The story tells us that we have to adopt a more sympathetic, more understanding attitude towards such teenagers. If a teenager is spotted as keeping themselves isolated, avoiding people, being lost in thought all the time, talking of impractical things all the time, in that case, we must understand that there is something wrong and that should be corrected before it turns into a disaster, as happens with Sophie. Now, what can be done? Is the answer to take these children to psychologists? Not always. That's the last recourse. First of all, the answer is to encourage these teenagers to do exactly those things which they have been avoiding. Encourage them to meet people, talk to them, be part of their society, their community. If that is difficult, then there are other ways. Take up a sport, take up a hobby. This will soon result in the creation of a community of people with common interest. At one level, it will exercise their body, and when body is healthy, obviously mind tends to be healthy. At the other level, It will bring about changes in their way to look at the world. It will form communities of like-minded people to interact with, and slowly this will help these teenagers to come out of this trap of living in the world of imagination. So, the aim of the story is to draw our attention to this quite common problem with teenagers and develop a more sympathetic and understanding attitude towards them and help them come out of the problem with love and understanding, not act like Sophie's father does in the story. All right. So I think I have made everything clear, and you have also enjoyed reading the story. Let's have a look at some of the questions. The first question box on page number 79. Two questions here. One is, where was it most likely that the two girls would find work after school? This is answered in the initial conversation of Sophie with Jancy. In response to Sophie's assertions that she would own a boutique or be an actress, Sophie says here that Jancy does not say anything. Just the writer tells us, Jancy, knowing they were both earmarked for the biscuit factory. So, the two girls were most likely to find work in the local biscuit factory after the school. Second, what were the options that Sophie was dreaming of? You have already read. One was being a fashion designer and opening her boutique. The other was becoming an actress and having a boutique on the side. And another option Wade considered was to become a manager after school, save money, and then invest that money into these plans. Second part of the same question is, why does Jancy discourage her from having such dreams? Jancy is a more down-to-earth, more realistic kind of girl. She understands their situation. She understands that they belong to a lower middle class society. It's not possible for them to have it's not possible for them to invest money. It's not possible for them to go for higher education of designing or such other things. It is difficult for them in general. Basically, it is because of their lower middle class background. Then second question box on page number 81, it contains 5 questions. First is, why did Sophie wriggle an expression of shock exhibited through body when the body shakes suddenly? So that is in response to some surprise, some shock. When Jeff told her father that she had met Danny Casey, if you remember, Sophie tells this lie to Jeff to get his attention, and she expects him to keep it a secret, but Jeff tells this to her father. Now, Sophie wriggles. Sophie has this reaction of shock because, first of all, it's a lie, plain and patent. Second, his father is very, very practical and very, very wise man. He has never believed Sophie's story. He would never believe that. Thirdly, he is a harsh man also, and he might behave rudely with Sophie. So it is because of these that Sophie wriggles. It's a lie. Father is likely to see through the lie, and he is also likely to react harshly. Second question is, does Jeff believe what Sophie says about her meeting with Danny Casey? Well, if you have read their entire conversation, you would have seen that Jeff alternates between believing and disbelieving. Initially, he doesn't believe. Then Sophie's detailed additions to the story, detailed imaginations bring him to a point of believing, but then again he says, it's the unlikeliest thing ever, something like that. So Jeff does not seem to believe or disbelieve. Jeff is alternating between a state of belief and disbelief. Third is, does her father believe in her story? The answer to this is quite plain. Her father never believes in her story. Not once does he ask about that, even after having listened to that. His reactions are also notable. He says, this, another of your wild stories, and one day you are going to land yourself in trouble talking to strangers like this. So his father never believes. How does Sophie include her brother Jeff in her fantasy of her future? Recall, Sophie's ideas about her brother. She thinks that her brother, who leaves home in the morning, comes back late in the evening, is perhaps leading a glamorous life, meeting exotic people, going to exotic places. This is how her imagination works. Even though her brother is an ordinary apprentice motor mechanic and his day is far from glamorous or anything. Now the question is, how does Sophie include him in her fantasy of her future? So there is a very colorful description here. She imagines that one day she would go with him riding pillion on his motorbike to his world of glamour and glitz. They would be on bike, he would be in black leathers, she would be in a yellow dress with a cape flowing with the wind beneath her and behind her, and the vast new world would be waiting for them, and it would explode into applause as soon as she enters. So this is how her imagination goes. Basically, she imagines that she would go with Jeff someday on his bike, and they would be dressed like that, and this would happen. Last one, which country did Danny Casey play for? This is clearly mentioned, Ireland. In the back-end exercises, understanding the text. Sophie and Jancy were classmates and friends. What were the differences between them that show up in the story? Well, differences are very, very stark. While Sophie is a dreamy kind of girl, has high ambitions, high aspirations, Jancy is very, very down to earth, very, very realistic, understands their realities well. While Sophie has sophisticated tastes, refined tastes, and thinks in terms of aesthetics, beauty, fashion designing, Jancy has been called gawky, awkward, not very good looking, not talking in a very sophisticated way, like an ordinary girl of the lower middle class. And yet Sophie is suffering from this psychological disorder, whereas Jancy is quite understanding, quite normal. Okay, so the main difference is Sophie is a dreamy, imaginative girl with high ambitions, high aspirations, but with no realistic plan to turn those imaginations, turn those dreams into reality. Whereas Jancy is a very, very practical, wise, understanding kind of girl who knows the reality very well and doesn't try to fly higher than her station. And in terms of taste, Sophie is more refined, has better aesthetic sense. Jancy is quite ordinary. Second one, how would you describe the character and temperament of Sophie's father? This is a good question. You may get a question on Sophie's father's character sketch as well. How would you describe it? Well, it's very clear that he is a man of the world, very, very practical man, understands the reality of them. In a character sketch, what are you basically supposed to do? You are supposed to point out the quality of the person, and then you have to quote instances from the story as evidence to show that the person has those qualities. So when I say so first of all, you can mention the general characteristics. He belongs to a lower middle class background. He is probably a mine worker and has all the crude ways of such kind of workers, which is evident in his way of eating, in his way of in his personal demeanors. But he is a very wise, practical and understanding man. Why do we say that? First of all, he understands Sophie's nature very, very well. He knows that she is into dreaming, into imagining, into lying, and never once does he believe in her stories. Secondly, recall his conversation with Jeff about football players. He clearly says that this football player, Danny Casey, would be good one day if he keeps his head on his shoulder. That means he does not get distracted because of so many other things, so many glamorous things for these celebrities. So this shows his wisdom as well. At the same time, would you call him a good father? Obviously not. In spite of understanding his daughter's nature, his problems, he does not deal with it sympathetically, does not try to bring her out of this situation gently. Instead, he behaves very harshly, very rudely. And at the end of the story, we see his bicycle parked outside the pub, so it seems that he is also into these things. He ignores family and makes merry in pubs and such other places. So on the whole, Sophie's father shows all the characteristics of a lower middle class, laboring class member. At the same time, he is very, very wise, very, very practical, but yet not a good father. Third question, why did Sophie like her brother Jeff more than any other person? From her perspective, what did he symbolize? Why did Sophie like her brother Jeff more than any other person? You would have seen that neither does her father believe in story, nor does Jancy believe in the story. But Jeff does not reject the story outrightly. So one thing is that he is more sympathetic to Sophie. He tends to believe her sometimes. Secondly, he is of very, very reserved nature. He does not speak too much and remains out of home for the whole day. So these very things bring a sense of mystery about his personality and his day. Sophie tends to think that he is leading a glamorous life, perhaps going to exotic places, meeting exotic people, and that's another reason why she likes him. And from her perspective, what did he symbolize? Obviously, he symbolized a world of glamour, a world of her dreams and ambitions, which was waiting for her arrival. So that's about Sophie's brother Jeff. And finally, what socio-economic background did Sophie belong to? We have already seen she belongs to a lower middle class background. Her father is a mine worker, probably. Next part of the question is, what are the indicators of her family's financial status? This is important. This question wants you to explore the story, and it wants you to look closely at the stories and find clues to form wider ideas. How do we know that he belongs to a lower middle class family? Nowhere has it been expressly stated. Well, for one thing, her household, it's a two-room household. One room is given to her brother, and the other room serves all the purposes. The purpose of kitchen, laundry, bedroom, drawing room, everything. Secondly, this house is not owned by them. This is a rented accommodation, and they do not own a house as said by Sophie's father. Thirdly, the manners of Sophie's father, his crude way of eating, washing himself after eating, and all those things. And also Jancy's thought that both of them were likely to find work in the local biscuit factory. These are the indicators of her family's financial status. Okay, so this was a discussion of these questions. Now this video will be accompanied by a worksheet that will contain a summary of this story and some questions. Not these questions different from these. So go through that and answer those questions. On the next posting date, I will also post their answers. Till then, bye. Thank you.